So I recently did a video where I spoke all about my own personal experiences and lessons learned when it came to drinking alcohol. And if I'm being very honest with you, it was probably one of the most personal and raw and intimate videos I've recorded to date. And I'm not gonna lie, it was super scary. Like recording that video and as I was releasing it, I thought, holy shit, bro, like what are you doing? You know, you're about to tell the whole world about your battles essentially and your struggles that you had when it came to the time when you were drinking. And, you know, in that video, for those of you who saw it, firstly, just thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. But, you know, secondly, if you did see that video, you'll know that I kind of bared it all to you. I talked in depth and in detail about the moments I kind of started drinking after high school and why I started drinking. You know, spoiler alert, it was because of a girl, because I got heartbroken. But, you know, I started drinking from then all the way up till like the current moments, essentially. I've only recently stopped drinking. So you could say I'm kind of still in that battle. You know, I'm still learning myself and I'm still kind of figuring it all out. But I released that video purely because I thought that maybe somebody out there might be going through a similar situation to me. And hopefully my kind of lesson and experience might have helped somebody. So if it did help you, you know, that meant everything to me. And so let's just hope that it did. But, you know, I was thinking about that video the other day and I watched it again. And the first thing I realized was that even though I shared so many experiences and so many, like, I told you guys all about the consequences and all the bad things that happened to me, you know, like the weight gain and the loss of confidence and the heartbreak, all of that kind of stuff. But I realized that even though I shared a lot with you, there was so much, like, no matter how many bad things happened, there's always another moment that I can kind of think of and I think, holy shit, like, bro, that was so bad. And it was because I drank alcohol, you know, and if I had to share all those bad experiences with you, we'd be here all day, you know. But just recently, the one that stood out for me was, you know, I spoke about this girl that kind of broke my heart when I started drinking. But then I realized, you know, there was another girl and I really liked this girl. And, you know, I'm so disappointed looking back now. It's definitely a genuine regret I have because I'm sure many of you know that it's very rare to come across somebody that you feel like you click with on such a deep level. And I met this girl and from the moment I met her, I was like, wow, like there was such a connection. And I regret it so much because we got off to such a good start. And I'm sure there's a lot of factors as to why it didn't work out. But the one thing that I seriously regret is just the fact that, you know, the last time I ever saw her, I was drinking. And I feel like that drinking kind of influenced a lot of the decisions I made that day. And who knows, maybe if I hadn't been drinking, maybe it would have played out differently. And I genuinely still miss that girl. So, you know, it just shows you there's so many stories. But the biggest thing that I realized from that last video was that I wasn't helpful. Yeah, like I gave you my story and I told you about my experience drinking. And sure, maybe you got some kind of genuine advice or some kind of lesson learned from my own experience. I think there's definitely, sorry if I'm spitting. What the heck, bro? Swallow your damn spit. Sorry. I think there's definitely there's something to be gained in listening to the stories of others. So hopefully in that way you learn something. But I realized that I didn't give you any advice. I didn't kind of tell you how I came to this place now where I stopped drinking. And the place now is a place that I feel better than I've ever felt before. Genuinely, I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm more motivated, I'm trying to be a better man. And that's really all that I can hope to do. And so I thought, you know, I didn't help you. So let me actually use this video now to kind of give you the tips or the most important things and mindset shifts that I learned that kind of helped me get to this place now where I can honestly say I don't really even miss drinking at all. And it's been it's been like a game changer for me. And so hopefully in this video, I can kind of give you those tips that help me get through it so that you can too. And I'm not going to give you just right off the bat, I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to give you the stupid little things like, oh yeah, you should like run a bath, swap alcohol with something else. I'm not going to give you these small little wishy-washy tips. I'm going to cut down to the core fundamental mindset shift that I needed to go through in order to stop drinking. And this is the shift that changed it all for me, and maybe it will for you too. So when somebody kind of gets to the place where they realize, okay, what the heck is shush now? I'm trying not to swear as much. I'm trying to kind of be I'm being authentic, but I'm also trying not to swear every 5 seconds. So if you hear random words like shoosh or whoosh, or just ignore it. But anyways, for most people that kind of stop drinking, or at least want to stop, I think the first natural thing that goes through their mind is, okay, I have a problem. So let me go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Let me go and see AA. And for any of you out there who have visited AA and it's genuinely helped you and made a difference in your life, I'm so happy for you. Mad respect. Whatever works for you, you have my full blessing. Absolutely. But there's one big problem that I kind of found when it came to something like AA. And I've never, just so you know, I've never been to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I learned this in a book that I've read. And just wait, we'll talk more about the book in a second. But the big thing that I believe some organization like Alcoholics Anonymous gets wrong is the fact that when you go there, they essentially try to tell you that realize you are an alcoholic. You have a problem and you will never, ever be able to be cured of that problem. And even though this works for a lot of people, they think, okay, cool, I can never drink again. Every day of sobriety is a win. And I agree with that. But I think there's something very dangerous to be kind of gained from this idea that you have a problem with alcohol. Because I don't think that's the case. I genuinely believe that you don't have a problem with alcohol. Alcohol is the problem. And that is simply because alcohol is an addictive substance. It's an addictive drug. And so the problem is that these people think, or maybe you currently are thinking to yourself, geez, I have a problem, right? I'm clearly defective. I'm not whole. I'm not enough. And I'll always have this craving for alcohol. And I'm an alcoholic. But here's the thing. When you were 10 years old, right? I don't know how young you started drinking. Maybe you were really young, but let's say when you were anywhere between 5 to, 15 years old, 14. Any time that you weren't drinking, when you were a kid, and you were able to have fun, you were able to talk to people, have confidence, all this kind of good stuff. Did you genuinely feel the need to drink alcohol? Did you really wake up every morning and think, yo, if I don't have a drink tonight, I'm going to battle at this party, Of course you didn't. It's absolute rubbish. And this is kind of what I realized. And it made me think, holy shit, maybe I'm not an alcoholic. Maybe I don't have a problem like everybody says. Maybe alcohol is the actual problem. Maybe I'm not as defective. And for me, this is where the mindset shift started to take place when I realized that the problem is not with me. It's the fact that alcohol is firstly an addictive substance. It is something that is literally meant to become addictive. But secondly, alcohol is so normal and it's so accepted in society. I mean, think about any other drug. Let's take heroin, for example. If you saw somebody at a bar, right, injecting heroin into their veins or some kind of shit like that, you would never say, oh, that's normal. That's he's having a good time. He's having a joy. Of course you wouldn't say that. But the guy that's drinking a double vodka or having a brandy or taking shots of ethanol, which is what alcohol is, we see people out drinking all the time and we think, oh, that's normal. And therein lies the problem, is that society has accepted alcohol as something not only normal, but encouraged. And it's not, because alcohol is an addictive, mind-altering drug. And so I think the first thing to kind of realize is that you are not defective. You are not an alcoholic. You have simply been duped. You have simply been taken advantage of by a highly addictive substance. Why do you think when people start taking heroin, it's the end? Because once they're on it, it's so difficult to get out. What's the difference with alcohol? It's exactly the same thing. But I would argue that alcohol is worse purely because it's so accepted and because it's not illegal. It's not meant to be something frowned upon. You do it more often than you would do, say, cocaine or any kind of other drug, MDMA or whatever. And naturally you fall into this terrible trap. And the way I see alcohol is that it's think of a slide. And the further down you go, the harder it is to kind of climb back out from that slide or that hole. A hole or a pit is a good example. And the further down you go, the harder it is for you to escape. And that is why people start forming alcohol problems. It's the reason why, for me, as a person that thought, oh, maybe I'm an alcoholic, maybe I have a problem, I was able to escape so effortlessly, so naturally. Because if I really was an alcoholic, I would have been stuck there for the rest of my life. Wouldn't I? Because I have a problem. But I genuinely don't even feel the need for alcohol anymore. And what changed it for me was reading a book, right? And I know you're going to be like, bro, I've clicked on this video now. I'm here to like learn from you. Tell me the answers. And I'm kind of giving you a brief summary of the answers. But if you want to stop drinking, there's one book that changed it all for me. And that book was a little book by Alan Carr called The Easy Way to Control Alcohol. And without spoiling the book, essentially Carr goes on to use the book in a similar way to what I'm doing with you right now. I'm showing you that maybe what you've believed about alcohol your entire life potentially, maybe all the things you've believed, for example, that alcohol gives you confidence, alcohol makes you happy, alcohol makes you relax, it makes you social and funny. This book essentially takes each one of those myths and breaks it and says, this is why that's wrong. This is why alcohol actually doesn't give you confidence. It actually takes away your confidence, right? In the long run. Alcohol doesn't actually make you happier. It actually wrecks your whole life. Alcohol does not make you relax. It's actually a stimulant. And that's why you wake up in the morning at like 3 a.m. after a heavy night, because the alcohol is rushing through your veins. Everything you've ever believed about alcohol is utter bullshit. And you've been fed a lie because, as I said before, alcohol is so accepted in our society. It's so normalized. But I would argue that drinking alcohol is essentially the same as snorting a line of coke in public. Same shit, bro. Same thing. And once you start to realize this, it becomes a game changer for you. Because as I said, alcohol is ethanol, right? That's what alcohol is made of. It's a poisonous, addictive substance. And the more you consume it and the more you take it, it destroys you from the inside. It fucks with your mind. It messes up your mentality, your emotional well-being. Because, you know, for example, let's take one of the myths, right? So Alan Carr says in the book, Easy Way to Control Alcohol, and I highly recommend, if you really want to kind of start your journey to sobriety and stop relying on drinking, read this book. And it changed my life. So give it a read. But let's take one of the myths, for example. So Carr says that a lot of people believe that alcohol makes them social, right? It allows you to go to a party and to have a few, Dutch courage sips, and then you feel good and you can talk to people. But does it really do that? Like, really think deep down and be honest with yourself here. Be honest with me. Do you not think that maybe drinking that alcohol, firstly, so once you drink the alcohol, I'm not going to go into the neuroscience because I'm kind of dumb, so I'm not going to give you the bro science terms, but essentially alcohol numbs your inhibitions. That's what it does do. It numbs your inhibitions. But is that a good thing? To be numbing your very logical brain that tells you this is the good thing to do, this is kind of sketchy, right? Is it really a good thing to be taking that ability away from yourself? I would argue it's not. And so what happens is you lose your inhibitions, and that just makes you a little bit less worried about what people think. And, you could argue that for a lot of people, that's maybe what they need. But the problem is that as you lose your inhibition and you start talking to people, I don't know if you've ever spoken to somebody that's properly drunk at a party, and you were sober, by the way. You can't be two drunk people. Let's say you were sober and some drunk guy had a conversation with you. You're not sitting there thinking, wow, this guy's intelligent and he's funny and he's smart. What a great guy. You're thinking like, piss off, asshole, like you're drunk, like you're annoying, you're spitting on me. Like I was spitting all over my mic just now. I was like, you're spitting on me, you're being a clown. That's what you think. So how can it give you that confidence that you really think you have? And here's the bigger thing. What if I told you at some party, you cannot drink alcohol? You just have to be social by yourself. What has happened to you over years and years of using alcohol to kind of give you that Dutch courage to function like a regular human being at a party? You lost your confidence because you've never, or at least you've stopped developing the skills to be confident in yourself. The wholesome, healthy ability to say, you know what, I'm a good enough person. I don't need something to kind of talk to somebody at a party. Why would I need to numb myself to have a conversation? Not only you think you're going to be social and more talkative, but your conversations become dumber. You essentially say a lot of rubbish. You don't ever have something meaningful. You forget half the conversation that you're having. Instead of doing the thing where, yes, in the beginning it's a bit difficult, but you start learning how to talk to people. You start learning how to develop that inner confidence so that you don't need to drink some bloody poison to make you feel okay or healthy or normal at a party. And that's the reason people rely on it, because they've become so reliant on this drug to help them function. Just like a heroin addict relies on it to get them through another day of non-cravings. It's the same thing, just in a lesser kind of extent. Think about it. That's just one of the myths. There's so many, like alcohol helps you relax. And I've already told you, alcohol's a stimulant. It does not relax you. Sure, it may make you knock off quickly at first, but there's research to show, and I'm not going to show it here. I'm too lazy. You guys can find it on your own. But there's research that shows you that alcohol messes with your sleep. It takes away your good, healthy sleeping habits. There is absolutely no benefit to drinking alcohol at all. And once you realize by reading this book, and you don't even need the book, really. If you can sit down and let's say you don't want to go out and buy the book, but you can find it on the internet for a good free price, if you know what I'm saying. But if you don't want to do that, fair enough. Just take out a piece of paper. Write down everything you believe alcohol does for you. Every kind of benefit that you think you gain by drinking alcohol. Go through that list and try to be critical and really identify if each of those points is really as helpful as it seems. And you'll quickly find out that it's actually doing a lot more harm to you than good. So yeah, that is the first thing. I think that book is what kind of changed it for me. Then again, once I did stop drinking, I will be honest here, and once I read the book, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I don't see really the need to drink anymore. But for a lot of people, and for myself included, you often forget this information, right? You start thinking, okay, I'm not drinking, but then, a week goes by and you're kind of forgetting about the book, and all of a sudden you think, oh, it would really be nice to like have a sip of something right now. I could really go for a drink, right? There's some kind of initial tips that I've used to kind of break through that initial barrier. And I want you to understand that for at least a month, maybe two, but I wouldn't say more than a month, you will kind of go through that unbreaking of the habits, right? Because remember, alcohol is a habit. It gets formed over constant repetition over time. And so, even though this book is going to make you realize, wow, I don't need this anymore, that habit might still be there. And so you need to take a conscious effort to at least initially go through a little bit of a tough spot. And all I'm saying is if you can make it through this spot, just 1 month, you will never look back. Just trust me and give it a month, right? So that is the next thing that I can advise. Once you've read this book and you've kind of broken this association, because the problem essentially is not that alcohol is so good. And that's not why it's difficult to quit. It's not because it's actually good. The problem is that you think it's so good. So you need to break that mental association and craving. Once you've broken that mental, I need this, it becomes effortless to release. That is the core fundamental lesson that you can leave this video learning today. But I would recommend, like I said, just for the first month, realize that you may be in this habit. So like at nighttime, if you somebody that was like me and you'd put on a movie or something and you'd want to have a drink, realize that habit is going to be there. You put on that movie and it's a trigger, and all of a sudden, oh shit, I really feel like having a drink right now. Promise yourself that if you can just stay strong for 1 month, that's all, just a month. And if you can get through that month, I promise you, your ability to stay off of it long term is going to be exponentially higher. And this all comes down to a little thing called dopamine. And I've been promising this video for the last 2 weeks. I'm so sorry I have been slacking, but I'm going to do a video on dopamine detoxing this week. And essentially, dopamine is the kind of craving chemical. It's like the motivation chemical that has been kind of tricked, that makes you think you need to drink to be happy. So let's say over time you drink and drink and drink, your dopamine kind of rises, it becomes like really high. And so it becomes very difficult to enjoy other things in life because you've got your stimulation up here. So down here now you have things like, just watching a movie even. Something that used to be this much fun has become this much fun now because alcohol has surpassed it. So essentially your dopamine levels they completely screwed up. And so what you need to do is realize that it takes about a month for that dopamine to kind of come back to normal. And once that dopamine comes back to normal, every other thing in your life that used to be fun but isn't anymore kind of comes back to baseline, because humans are kind of made to always kind of crave homeostasis. Our bodies always want baseline. So if you can just give it a month, your dopamine will start to lower and you'll find that, oh wow, I'm actually really enjoying talking to my friends again. I'm enjoying watching a movie. I'm enjoying going for a walk with my dogs, small things. So give it a month. That's all I'm saying. Just commit to 1 month and remember that if you can do that, your chances of getting off are, ridiculously higher. That being said, just while we're talking about habits, when you make the decision that you want to stop drinking, I would advise you to not quit all of your other bad habits immediately. So like, let's say you have a problem with eating fast food, or like, I don't know, you like to watch TV. It's tempting to kind of say, okay, cool, like I want to fix everything now. Like we're on a roll, bro. Like let's go. I'll take out TV, I'll take out movies. Don't do it, because remember, we want to get through this month of just alcohol. So what happens is, like I talked about, we have alcohol and then all the other fun things. What happens if I take away all the other stuff? There's nowhere to go. And so now all of a sudden you've got no more alcohol. So your dopamine's like, yo, bro, where do I go? And now you're miserable because there's nothing else keeping you entertained. So it's tempting to want to fix your life. And I respect you. I really admire you for wanting to do the right thing. But realize that by fixing everything too quickly, you may end up back at square one, because 1 week goes by and you're depressed now because not only are you not drinking anymore, but now there's nothing fun to look forward to anymore. So you're like, well, fuck it, I may as well drink. And that's what happens. And then you're back at square one. And once you go back after you decide to stop, it is that much harder to quit again, because you've essentially fortified that mental resistance in your mind. So don't listen to that voice. He'll be there saying, listen, hey, have a drink, just one. You have one and you're literally back at the bottom of the barrel again. So resist it as much as you possibly can. I've written down a few notes here that I'm trying to think about other things that can help. So obviously, like I said, give it a month. Don't try to change too much about your life. Keep it as achievable as possible. Remember, alcohol is the thing we want to get rid of here. So focus on that, at least at first. And I think the last thing I can mention here that has really helped me dramatically is just bringing other people into it. And I know when I say this, I know it might scare a lot of you, and you think, no, I could never let my family down like that. I could never tell people that, maybe I'm having a problem with drinking. And I felt that way for a long time too. Why do you think I'm here though? And why do you think I don't drink? I'm willing to tell the whole world and say, listen, I had a problem with drinking, right? I had to tell my family, and that was tough. And it was like, you think you're going to lose a bit of your self-respect and you're going to be embarrassed and stuff. And at first it feels like that. But man, bringing in that social network, it makes all the difference. Because I realized at some stage, one of the nights I was drinking, and it just hit me, I realized that I'd gotten to a place where I was perfectly okay with hurting myself to get high. Like I was perfectly okay with dealing with a hangover the next morning, dealing with weight gain, dealing with mental health issues. I was perfectly fine. Whatever happened, as long as I got to drink, I was fine. And then I thought about my family, and I thought about whoa, what if my family knew that I was doing this right now? What if my family found me drinking? How much would they worry? How sick would they feel if they knew that me, and I try to give off this persona that I'm healthy and successful and happy and stuff, but how would they really feel if they knew that their son or their friend, to my friends, how would my friends feel knowing that, wow, my friend is going through something bad, he might be hurting himself? Bringing other people into the situation, being willing and brave enough to be honest and say, hey, listen, and you don't have to tell the world like me. Maybe I'm a clown for doing this, right? But you don't have to be like me. Go to your closest friends, somebody that you really trust. Go to somebody in your family that you love and respect dearly and that will love you no matter what, and tell them, listen, I'm having a problem and it would really mean the world to me if you were on my side, for this. Reach out to me. Tell me if that's a good start for you. Maybe I'm some random stranger on the internet to you. Reach out to me and I will be the person that you can lean on and kind of, I'll be there to try to tell you that it's okay. Because I found that once I brought in that support group and I thought about the effect that it wouldn't have on myself, but other people, how it would hurt my family, my friends, my loved ones, that's when it got real for me. And I thought, wow, I would never want to hurt them. And ironically enough, you don't, because you find out that once you tell these people, they are so loving, and they not only respect you more for being honest about your issues and being honest that sometimes, I've lost control, and you lose control of this thing. It's an addictive substance, for God's sakes. I've told you this already. Don't beat yourself up. That's why we can't be hard on addicts, and we can't keep on making addicts in society feel bad, because these are people that have been trapped. They are trapped by a drug, just like a heroin addict. So be kind to yourself, and you'll realize so fast that other people will be kind to you too. And that, just being honest about it, it changes a lot too. So that, for me, it's not even the first mental shift about realizing that there's no benefit. But the second one is just that people love you, man. People really love you and care about you. And if you're willing to be open and honest with them, I think you'd be kind of shocked at the result that would have. So remember to be easy on yourself. I used to beat myself up, and I still do to this day. Like I told you about the story with that girl, I beat myself up to this day about all the times I fucked up and all the times I messed up. But you know what? It's okay. and you are taking the brave step to want to change your life and to finally become the better person and fulfill the potential that you know you've always had. Because that's what alcohol does. And I've said it in the last video. It steals away your potential. Don't let it steal your potential. I really hope that this video has helped you in some way. Just stay strong. And like I said, give it a month, read the book, just take that first step today. And I think you'll be absolutely shocked at the results you see in your own life, because you are more than some stupid addiction. You really are. Stay safe out there. I'll see you for the next one.